What is good, Commanders fans? I am your host, Jack Sperry, and you are watching Commanders Report Live here during Combine Week. Of course, all the top prospects in the 2024 NFL Draft are working out. In fact, right now, the defensive linemen and the inside linebackers are the ones currently on the field at Lucas Oil Stadium working out for NFL scouts. So we got a bunch of great stuff coming your way today, man. I'm not going to lie. We got a couple of great Commanders news and rumors to cover today. We'll talk a little bit about Kirk Cousins, Washington legend, potentially coming back. We'll talk about the pros and cons of potentially bringing him back this offseason in free agency. We'll also talk about a couple of other free agent targets that have been linked to the Commanders in recent days. And then we're also going to talk a little about owner Josh Harris and whether he's getting too involved in the football operations process, as we learn that he's been sitting in on the interviews that they've been doing with the quarterback prospects there at the NFL Combine. Also, we're going to be doing 2024 team needs for the Washington Commanders. I'm going to break down the entire roster and kind of break down where the Commanders need to improve heading into this offseason. And then, of course, we got the Commanders Report Live Q&A. And to get your question on today's show, use hashtag Commanders along with your question down there in the live chat, or you can super chat to get on the show to guarantee your spot on today's mailbag. With that, I'll bring in our producer today, Mr. Jeffrey Cooperstein. Coop, how you doing, my friend?
I am well, Jack Sperry. How are you? It's a Thursday, and we're excited to talk some Commanders football.
I am doing pretty darn good myself, man. It's Combine Week, so it's busy for us here at Chat Sports. We've been getting a lot of interviews coming in and all these different things, and the players just started working out this afternoon. But overall, man, I'm feeling pretty good. So make sure you guys go down there right now, shout out your city for a shout out to kick off today's show. I see Josh in there. I see MG. I see Angry Cobra. What's up, Cobra? I see Joey. I see Reggie Reg. I see JG. I see Soldier for God. I see Chocolat. What's up, my friend? It's good to see your face here. Who else is here? We got Soldier for God's from D.C. So is Kurt Smith. Vertal Buffington is from Virginia Beach, Virginia. MG is here. Angry Cobra's from Richmond, Virginia. Patrick West is from Fayetteville, Georgia.
Fayetteville.
I am such an idiot, dude. And then we got John LaFreight. I hope I'm saying that right. He's from Rhode Island. Reggie Reg is from D.C. all day. We got Josh. We got Ryan in here. MG says, Dan Quinn sucks. He hasn't even coached one game here.
He hasn't coached a game yet. I think people are scarred about 28-3.
Yeah, I mean, it's one game, folks.
It's one game. It's a big game.
I know it's a big game, but it's also against Tom Brady.
No doubt.
He choked in that one. Okay, the Falcons choked, no question. But you know what, man? He got them to 28-3 over the GOAT himself. Both Bill Belichick and Tom Brady had him on the ropes, all right, with Matt Ryan as his quarterback. So, you know what? If the Commanders lose 28-3 in a Super Bowl, I will be crushed. But at the end of the day, I'll sit back and be like, you know what?
Maybe the Super Bowl.
I'll take going to the Super Bowl as opposed to sitting our ass all playoffs like we did this year, last place in the NFC East. All right, so today we got a bunch of great stuff coming your way. Well, today's Super Chat menu. So any Super Chat's going to get a shout out. You're going to get on the mailbag today, all that great stuff. And then also, we're doing our February raffle today. So Coop, if you could put up the photo of the t-shirt that we're going to be raffling off at some point today or at the end of today's show. It says, I survived the Snyder era. All right, so the Dan Snyder era, it's finally over here in Washington. If you want a shirt that commemorates that you survived that terrible era of Washington football, just $1, all right? So every dollar that you spend on today's show is going to equal one raffle ticket to win that t-shirt. So if you put in $5, you get 5 raffle tickets to win the t-shirt, all right? So that's our special deal of the day today. And then also $10 super chats. We'll take shots. Coop's got Patron. And since I don't drink, I've got this tequila alternative stuff that just tastes. Coop's had it.
I have had it.
It doesn't taste good.
It's worse than actual tequila.
It tastes worse than tequila. It just tastes like straight bitterness. It tastes like rubbing alcohol, kind of.
More or less.
More or less. And then, it doesn't get you drunk. So, like, it's just all the negatives and none of the positives if you make me drink some shots today. And then $20 today. It was actually Coop's birthday the other day.
It was.
So let's give him some birthday slaps because he is a Dallas Cowboys fan. And if he's going to come on the Commanders Report, he needs to get punished, all right? So we need somebody to put in at least one $20 super chat today. We've got the tortillas lined up right here. Every $20 super chat that we get, I am slapping the shit out of Jeffrey Cooperstein today live on the Commanders Report. So if you want to see that, plus you get 20 raffle tickets.
You do get 20
for
raffle
the t-shirt,
tickets.
all right? So if you want to really stack the odds in your favor today, $20 super chat, and I'll slap the Cowboys fan for you. But we're going to get into this first segment coming up right now. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon.
Super!
Oh, first super chat of the day coming in from Soldier for God, a $5 super chat. Sent in a character. Thank you, Soldier. You're the best, man.
That's 5 raffle tickets.
5 raffle tickets for Soldier for God. And you know what, Soldier? If you send in another 5, I'll take a shot for you, all right? If you send in another 5, Soldier, I'll take another shot for you. And I'll make Coop take a shot too, all right? Appreciate you, my friend. Make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. Like the show because it helps out the channel, guys. And YouTube pushes this stream out to more Commanders fans like yourselves. The more people that click that thumbs up icon. We got 63 people watching. 17 likes. All right, let's get up to at least 20 likes. And there's Soldier for God with another $5 super chat.
You know what that means.
That means a shot. Let's get it lined up. A shot for Coop's birthday here. All right. You ready? Oh!
That's 2 shots.
We got 2 shots coming up. Verdal Buffington with a $10 super
Shout
chat.
out Verdell. Is it Verdell?
Verdell? I think it's Verdell, but appreciate you, my friend.
You.
First time super chatter, too, so let's give him some Ric Flair drip. Woo!
Shout out.
All right. Line up another shot for me, boy. This one's for my boy Verdell.
Verdell, shout out.
Verdell. All right. God, that shit. This shit tastes so bad, dude. Can this get expired? Because it does.
Expired.
It does not taste good. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Every $10 super chat that comes in, we'll take
Thursday, baby.
We'll take shots for you, Verdell. You just got 10 raffle tickets for the t-shirt, so make sure you stick around to the end of today's show for the raffle on today's program. And with that, Coop, are we ready to get things going today?
Yep,
First
give
segment?
me one moment. I'm just adding Verdell to the names.
Sounds good. So first segment today, we're going to be talking a little bit about Kirk Cousins. We'll talk about I saw an argument the other day that the Commanders should bring him in free agency. I'll kind of react to that rumor and kind of make the case for it and then give you guys my opinion on that. Also, we've got some NFL draft combine stuff today. We got DeAndre Swift. Should the Commanders bring him in and pair him with Brian Robinson Jr.? We got a bunch of great stuff coming your way. Also, I'll break down the team needs later in today's show, so make sure you stick around. And then make sure you guys use hashtag Commanders or Super Chat to get your question on today's Q&A. Let's get it going, baby. Are we ready, Coop? Okay, let's get it in. Let's get into it right now. Latest news and rumors surrounding the Washington Commanders. Should the Washington Commanders bring back quarterback Kirk Cousins in free agency this year so that they can take Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 2 overall in the 2024 NFL Draft? I'm going to answer that question for you guys on today's edition of the Commanders Report. I'll also discuss the latest free agency rumor here that connects DeAndre Swift, the running back, to the Commanders. We'll talk about that article in just a second as well. And then make sure you guys stick around because we got the latest on the Commanders QB Combine meetings, all the players that they're meeting with. We're going to be breaking it down later in today's show, so make sure you guys stick around. But before we get into all of today's news and rumors coverage, make sure you guys click that subscribe button and join our family here at the Commanders Report. Every time the Commanders make a big move this offseason, every time they sign somebody in free agency in a couple of weeks, if they make a trade, every time they make a draft pick, we're going to have you covered with breaking news coverage for you guys right here on the channel for free. And then also NFL draft and NFL free agency. We're going to have extensive coverage of both of them, getting you guys ready, letting you guys know who the Commanders are targeting, all these different things, and in-depth scouting reports as well. And oh yeah, guys, it's all 100% free. So if you want the most in-depth Commanders coverage that money can buy, 100% free, right here at the Commanders Report. It's your spot, so make sure you click that subscribe button right now. So let's go to Kirk Cousins. Do you like that? I'm not too sure if I like that. You know, there's an argument to be made here that Kirk Cousins, who's just about to hit the free agency market here, that you could bring him in, and it opens up some interesting possibilities for the Washington Commanders in 2024. You look at the recent career stats here, and listen, man, they've been pretty darn good. As we know, as Washington football fans, back when Cousins was back here, we were still the Redskins, right? But he was still a pretty darn good quarterback. And over the last several seasons with the Minnesota Vikings, he's still been that steady presence in the league where, you know, he's maybe not a top 5 quarterback, but he's definitely borderline top 10, and he is a franchise-level quarterback in this league. You look at the numbers throughout his career, consistently over 65% completion percentage, over 250 passing yards per game, and is usually around 30 touchdowns per season. Super, super solid quarterback, really good pocket passer, good deep ball, all these different things that we know about Kirk Cousins' game. And Pro Football Focus right now currently expects his next contract to be 3 years, $35 million per season. And according to the reports, Kirk Cousins wants his next deal to be fully guaranteed. All right, the Minnesota Vikings not so keen on that idea, which is why he might be going elsewhere. Now, the Washington Commanders can absolutely afford that price. All right, they got the most cap space of anybody in the National Football League entering free agency, over $80 million to spend according to Spotrac.com. And, you know, you could spend 35 of that on Kirk, maybe spend another 20 on an edge rusher. You know, you could definitely go out and make this move if you wanted to. And, you know, just for a second here, think of the possibilities that you would have if you don't take a quarterback at number 2 overall. You got a guy in Marvin Harrison Jr., who many people consider a generational talent at the wide receiver position. Now, you do have Terry McLaurin, and you got Jahan Dotson, but imagine pairing those guys up with Maserati Marvin and Kirk Cousins, who's already an established veteran in this league. Or you could have Kirk Cousins and you could trade down for more picks, and you could probably take one of the top offensive tackle prospects after trading down. So there's definitely some interesting possibilities here when it comes to getting Kirk Cousins in free agency this year. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Should Washington sign Kirk Cousins this offseason? Type S if you would sign him, or type P if you're going to pass. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. So my take on Kirk Cousins, guys, is that I don't think they should go get him, all right? I know that some people still have sentimental feelings about Cousins' time here in Washington, but at the end of the day, guys, the Commanders are sitting at number 2 overall in the NFL draft, and there are 3 blue-chip quarterback prospects in this year's class, in my opinion. Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels. We've talked about all of them extensively on the show, and whenever you have that kind of opportunity, you just don't pass it up because it doesn't come around very often. To get a young stud quarterback on a rookie contract, it just doesn't come around very often for many teams. So when you're in that position, you have to take advantage of that. And I don't think the solution is to sign a 35-year-old veteran quarterback to a $35 million per year salary here when you're trying to rebuild a roster. I think it's better to get a young gun, to get somebody that's a blue chip prospect and somebody that you hope can be in the building for the next 20 years here in Washington. Now, coming up here, I'm going to be talking about DeAndre Swift, the running back with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's about to hit the free agency market. Should the Commanders go out and target him? I'm going to answer that question here in about 2 minutes. But first, I want to tell you about today's sponsor at Prize Picks. And guys, football season is over. I'm just as sad about it as you are. But the action on the floor when it comes to collegiate and professional basketball is just heating up. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of the year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the United States of America. How does it work, you ask? Here's how. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry, and you could even put in Prize Picks entries on the NFL Combine, guys. So you see some of these prospects here: Troy Franklin, the wide receiver out of Oregon, and then Adonai Mitchell, the wide receiver out of Texas, and Xavier Worthy out of Texas as well. Looks like producer Coop is trying to make some money here with his Longhorns here. We're taking the less on all of them. It's 40 times. It's all the different stuff that you can find at the Combine. So with Prize Picks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks. So you can get started right now with NASCAR, NBA, NFL Combine, all of it, guys. It's so much fun to play. Download the app now and use code CLNS and use for a first deposit match up to $100 today. Again, download the app and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with our friends at Prize Picks. Now let's talk about DeAndre Swift here, where Bleacher Report just put out an article listing all the top running back free agents, and they linked DeAndre Swift to the Washington Commanders here as we approach 2024 free agency. This is what Christopher Knox, the author of the article, had to say about Swift to the nation's capital. With Antonio Gibson slated to hit free agency, Washington could use a complement to Brian Robinson Jr. in their backfield. With a league-high $96.4 million in projected cap space, the Commanders can afford to fill that void in free agency. So when you look at Swift here, and it's not going to be all that much. You know, they're projecting here 3 years, $6 million per season. And honestly, guys, because the running back market is definitely down in the dumps right now, it might even be less than $6 million per season. But you know what? I really do think the running back position is a young man's game, and DeAndre Swift is getting a little bit older. So I think if you're trying to replenish your running back ranks, I think there's plenty of good running back prospects in this year's NFL draft, and you draft somebody to add to your ranks. I like Brian Robinson Jr. already. I like Chris Rodriguez Jr. and the ability that he brings to the table as well. So I don't really think it's that much of a priority to go and get a running back in free agency. I won't necessarily cry if they end up bringing in DeAndre Swift. I think he's a good fit for Cliff Kingsbury's offense. And overall, I think it'd be nice to have him try to stick it to his old team that underutilized him, in my opinion. But, you know, if I'm running the Commanders right now, I know that you can get really quality running back talent in the middle rounds, even in the late rounds of the NFL draft at this point, and it's a young man's game. So if I'm going to replenish that position, I'm going through the NFL draft. Speaking of the NFL draft, let's shift now to owner Josh Harris, who, according to reports, has been sitting in on the quarterback interviews with Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix Jr. this week in Indianapolis. He's not sitting in on other positions, but he is for the quarterbacks. And some people are starting to worry that Josh Harris might be overstepping his role as the owner of the team, and he's kind of stepping more into an active role in trying to kind of meddle with the football operations in the front office by sitting in on these meetings and getting himself too involved. Because we all know one of the big problems with Dan Snyder, the former owner here in Washington, is that he would get way too involved in things that he shouldn't have been getting involved in. He would demand that the front office would take the players that he liked, and it was just a straight-up disaster. So is Josh Harris going to be that type of guy? my take on it, guys, is, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I know you have a little bit of PTSD with Dan Snyder completely ruining some of the past drafts that we've had here in Washington, but I think Josh Harris, sitting in on those quarterback interviews, just wants to get a feel for the personality, because whoever they end up drafting at number 2 is going to be the guy that he's entrusting to be the face of his franchise for the next, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years if everything works out the way that we want it to. So, you know what? If he wants to sit on those meetings, I'm cool as long as he's not straight up telling the football people, the people that actually know the game, what to do, because Dan Snyder was the type of guy that knew nothing about football and told football guys what moves to make. That was a huge mistake, and I hope Josh Harris isn't doing that right now. But honestly, guys, I trust him at this point, but let me know what you guys think. Is Josh Harris too involved in the football operations as the new owner of the Washington Commanders? Give me a yes or give me a no. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section, what you think of the new Washington owner. That'll be it for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now for extensive Commanders coverage all throughout the 2024 offseason. First one down, Mr. Coop. We got over 100 people watching. Make sure you guys use hashtag Commanders down there in the chat right now to get your questions on the show. I haven't seen too many questions in there.
We need some more questions.
We definitely need some more questions. So if you got questions about the draft, free agency, the new coaching staff, whatever, let me know. All right, this is your guys' chance to get on the show. Unfortunately, we weren't able to go live last week because I was sick. I was sick on Thursday.
You were ill.
I was sick from Thursday to Sunday, and it was just, oh my gosh.
Some would say brutal.
Some would say brutal, absolutely. So, unfortunately, we didn't get to go live last week, so it's nice to be back.
Nice to be back indeed.
It's nice to be back talking Commanders football live with you guys.
The whole Kirk Cousins thing is very intriguing to me. I like the idea that you presented if they sign him, trade down and draft Marvin Harrison. Don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
I mean, I kind of hate it. I was presenting it, and it's definitely a possibility. If you don't love any of the quarterbacks in this year's class, which, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't fall in love with Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels, but if that was the case, then, I mean, I guess maybe you could think about it, but, I mean, Kirk is 35. He's going to be expensive. You're trying to rebuild a roster. You have a chance to get a really good starting quarterback on a rookie deal with that number 2 overall pick. I just think that that's something you can't pass up on.
And in all likelihood, the Commanders are guaranteed one of Drake May or Jaden Daniels. I think you got to take either one of them.
And you know what? I am calling Chicago to see to see what the price is to move up to 1.
And they'll tell you it's 3 first-round picks.
And they're going to tell you it's 3 first-rounders, and you say no to that, right? You absolutely say no.
But you have to call.
But you have to call because Caleb Williams is just that level special, in my opinion. And if it's this year's first, so the pick swap there, number 1, number 2, and next year's first-round pick, I'm thinking about doing that. Because I do think the gap between Williams and the rest of the field is enough for an additional first, but not 2 additional firsts.
Agreed.
All right, that's just too much, and I think that's what Chicago is probably going to want. And honestly, I think Chicago has their heart set on Caleb right now, as they should. He's a super special prospect. But at the end of the day, I'm cool with either Drake May or Jaden Daniels. They're both really, really good prospects. We've broken them down both on the channel. You guys can check out our scouting reports on the channel if you want.
Yes.
But we got a bunch of great stuff. How are we doing in terms of questions?
We need a couple more. So be sure to use hashtag Commanders or Super Chat if you have any question about the Commanders, and we will answer it on today's show.
By the way, $10 shots today. We've already had to take 2. Every dollar that you spend today is a raffle ticket for the raffle at the end of today's show. So we can need a couple more questions here if you guys want to help us out.
Just staying hydrated?
Oh, yeah. I see JG down there. I see Dave S. says Williams is overhyped. Okay, I guess we'll see. We got Kevin Coleman. Cullum? Is that how you say that?
Kevin Cullum.
We got Verdell back in there. We got Eric. We got Z Banshee. Who else is here? We got Robert Merkley. We got King Hypno. We got Cassie Voth, my girlfriend's here. Shout out to Cassie for getting us the tortillas. We got MG. We got Joseph Warner. We got Peapot. We got Soldier for God. We got Kurt Smith. We got a bunch of real ones in the chat. We got Chris Gomer in there. He says hello. What's up, Chris? Need a couple more questions. Hashtag Commanders or Super Chat to get on the show about anything, about quarterback prospects, draft strategy, free agency strategy.
I like this idea from Cassie. She said, I should be slapping you today because it's my birthday. I like it,
but Cassie, what you don't understand is Coop's a Cowboys fan on the Commanders report. So that's a big no-go, all right? Cowboys fans are the ones that get slapped on the Commanders report, all right? Let's go. Casey Mosley says, let's go Commanders from Texas. Where in Texas are you? Let us know.
We should be close to good here.
All right, cool. Let's get into it. Keep those questions coming. Even as I'm going through the mailbag, we're still looking for questions. So if you have a question that pops up, hashtag Commanders, put it down there in the live chat, and we'll get to it on today's mailbag. Coop, are we ready to get things going?
Yep, let me set it up here.
All righty. Okay, this is my favorite part of the week, guys, answering your questions on the Washington Commanders. Can't wait to get to it. Coop, we ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get it right now. The latest Commanders Report live mailbag coming at you right now. It's Combine Week in the NFL, and today I'm going to be answering your questions on the Washington Commanders. Of course, free agency is right around the corner. The NFL draft stuff is just heating up with the Combine being this week. There's a bunch of great stuff to dive into today. But before we get to your questions, go ahead and click that subscribe button right now to join the most interactive Commanders fan community right here on YouTube. We have these live shows every single Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you guys have an opportunity to have your voice heard right here on the Commanders Report, the fastest growing Commanders YouTube channel here on YouTube. So if you want to get your voice heard on the show, make sure you click that subscribe button and join us Thursdays at 5 p.m. and get your questions in. With that, I'll pause and open it up for questions, starting with Z Banshee 22, and he says, what do you think Curl could be paid a year? So if brought back to the Commanders, I think it's going to be for the franchise tag. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the franchise tag is floating around $17 million for safeties. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I am pretty confident that it's sitting around that range. So probably around that, $17 million per season. And it's really up to you whether you think that that's too much or whether you think that's an appropriate amount, all right? For me personally, I think he's a perfect fit for Dan Quinn's offense. Or not offense, defense. Sorry about that. I think Cam Curl is an awesome, strong safety. I think he's perfectly built to be that box safety in this defensive scheme. And I want him back. And I really do think the franchise tag is a good idea. But honestly, man, I think he's such a good fit. I would be okay with them finding a long-term extension. And in that case, I'd love to see it be maybe a little bit less than 17, maybe like $16 million per season if they can potentially get that done. Then we got one from Chris Grand here. He says, would you sign Xavier Howard if you were the Commanders this offseason? I'll say this, Chris. He wouldn't be my first choice, okay, because Xavier really struggled last year. There's a reason why the Dolphins let him go, because he was too expensive for how good of a player he was last year. I think his PFF coverage grade was like in the 50s, and that's just dog water. That's terrible, and that's really what he's been known for throughout his career. He's a big physical corner, press man corner, so he fits the system here in Washington. So it wouldn't completely shock me if eventually they sign him, if they can't get some of their top options in the NFL free agency. But at the end of the day, man, he's not my first choice whatsoever. I think there's better options out there that are still playing at a high level, so he's definitely not my first choice. So let me know down there in the comments section, would you sign Xavier Howard this offseason if you were the Commanders? Type yes or type no for this week's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, give me a yes or no to whether you would sign Xavier Howard. Then we got a $10 super chat here from Chris Gomer. And he says, in any world, would you see the Commanders take Marvin Harrison at 2 and leverage him down for potentially more picks or something of better value? No. I don't see any situation where they would do that, Chris, because I really do think that they are locked in on taking a quarterback. Now, I understand why people might want to go get Marv because he is a generational type talent at wide receiver, all right? He's big. He's fast. He's an incredible route runner. He can track the ball in the air better than just about anyone in the draft, and he wins in this 50-50 ball situations. He's a complete wide receiver prospect as we have ever seen in the draft. I completely get it. But if you're the Commanders, you need a quarterback, and you're sitting at number 2, you got to get the rookie contract at the quarterback position, man, because if that quarterback that you draft ends up hitting, that allows you to really open up a potential Super Bowl window with that rookie quarterback contract with a really good quarterback. I just think that's an opportunity you can't pass up, and I don't think there's any way the Commanders take anyone but a quarterback at number 2 this year. Then we got one from my man Verdell Buffington. I hope I'm saying that right, by the way. He says, what do you think about J.J. McCarthy as a QB for the Commanders? I mean, given that the Commanders are going to be taking a quarterback at number 2, and, you know, you'd have to compare McCarthy to Drake May and Jaden Daniels as prospects, I don't think McCarthy is really in the same universe in terms of prospects, okay? Because McCarthy, he's more unproven because he just hasn't really thrown a lot of passes in his college career. He was with a team there in Michigan where he could just sit under center, hand the ball off, 30, 40 times a game, and then he would have to throw it a couple times, but usually he'd have great protection and his wide receivers would be open. So he had the best possible scenario for him there at Michigan, and he was never really a guy that was able to carry an offense at the college level. So why are we expecting him to be that type of quarterback at the pro level? I like some of his traits. I think that he's got a decent arm. He's mobile. He's athletic. He's tall. And, he's got good intangibles. He's got some good things to his profile. I'm not saying he doesn't. But when you compare it to guys like Drake May and Jaden Daniels, 2 guys that I think could be perennial MVP candidate types of guys that can carry NFL offenses, I just don't think McCarthy compares in terms of being an NFL QB prospect. Now, go ahead right now, click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're going to have breaking news coverage for the Commanders all throughout the 2024 offseason, NFL free agency, and draft coverage as well every single day, 100% free. So if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, and let's get back to the questions. Then we got one from Casey Mosley here from Houston, Texas, and he says, is there no scenario that we give Howell one more shot and trade back to get more quality picks to fill holes? So listen, man, I don't see any scenario where that happens, and here's why. Sam Howell did have his opportunity last year, and you can say whatever you want about Eric Bieniemy and the offensive line and all this different stuff that didn't go his way. The guy led the league in interceptions, all right? He was just not quite at the level that he needed to be. And if you're sitting at number 2 overall and you have the chance to take a blue chip quarterback prospect like they have right now, that they have that opportunity, you got to take that opportunity, man. And you're not going to pass up on that opportunity for somebody that was taken in the 5th round, all right? Frankly, all right? To be completely frank with Sam Howell, I think he'd be a good backup option. I think he's a high-quality backup. I think he showed some good things in his time as the starter last year. But you look at the situation right now, and you have the chance to take a really special quarterback prospect. And, as much as I like Sam Howell as a backup, he's not special in the way Drake May or Jaden Daniels could be. So because you're in that situation, you got to take the quarterback, in my opinion. So you decide for me down there in the comments section who should start week 1. All right, so let's say they draft a rookie. All right, sometimes rookies aren't ready. Let me know down there in the comments section. If Sam Howell is still on the roster and they draft a rookie, who should start week 1? Type H if you think Sam Howell, or type R if you think the rookie picked at number 2 should get the week 1 start. Then we got one from Soldier for God, and he says, will Fuller get cut? So he can't get cut because he's a free agent. So he's a free agent, or at least he's slated to be here. So the Commanders could re-sign him before free agency starts. They could re-sign him after free agency starts, or They could franchise tag him, or he could go elsewhere. I don't think they're going to franchise tag him, and I think the big question with Fuller is going to be, is he still a fit in this defense? And I'm not sure that he is. He's more of a zone corner, more of a Fangio style off coverage, laissez-faire corner, and Quinn really likes the Emmanuel Forbes types, man, the aggressive guys, the guys that really hunt interceptions. And Fuller's just not that kind of guy. So personally, I think because he is getting a little bit older, because he's not a great fit, I have a feeling the Commanders are going to let him walk. But for the right price, I would certainly bring him back. Then we got one from Troy Yonder, and he says, will Dan Quinn be more successful than Ron Rivera? God, I hope so, man, because Ron Rivera freaking stinks. I mean, he got to the playoffs one time with a 7-win season, and, of course, it was a one-round exit, so, it just wasn't a very successful run that Ron Rivera had here in Washington. So for the love of God, I hope that Dan Quinn can turn it around, because if we're getting more of the same, or if, God forbid, it's worse than the Ron Rivera era, we're going to be right back here talking about a new head coach pretty darn soon. Then we got one from Bradley Green. It says, do you think Emmanuel Forbes will get better in Dan Quinn's system? The answer to this question, Bradley, is I hope so, and I have hope that he will. Emmanuel is somebody and has always been a super aggressive corner that's always looking for opportunities to get interceptions. I thought he would have been a better fit than he ended up being in Vic Fangio's system last year. Or not Jack Del Rio's system last year, my mistake. It is a Fangio style of defense, but now that he's getting into Dan Quinn, which is more man coverage, it's more aggressive, it's less laissez-faire, and it's more go out and get the ball, I think it definitely fits Emmanuel Forbes' skill set. He still needs to get bigger. I mean, a big problem that he had last year was that he just couldn't hold his own against the more physical guys, especially later in the rep. So he needs to get stronger. He needs to get bigger. He needs to get into that weight room this offseason, and he just needs to overall get bigger and better. But, I do think that his style of play fits what Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. want to do at that position here. So I'm hopeful that he's going to eventually live up to that first-round draft pick from a season ago. So now predict it for me down there in the comments. Will Emmanuel Forbes boom or bust in the new defense brought in by Joe Witt Jr. and new head coach Dan Quinn? Type boom or bust for me down there in the comments section and let me know how you're feeling about EF. That'll be it for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button and join us on Thursdays, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can get your question on next week's Commanders Report mailbag. 2 down, 1 to go. And by the way, $10 super chat means we're drinking.
We owe shots.
We got shots.
Let me pull it back up. Shout out to Chris Gomer.
Shout out to Chris Gomer with the $10 super chat. Oh, that was too much.
Is it raining? Oh my God.
Is it raining in Dallas?
It's pouring rain.
We're in one of the new studios here where they actually have windows in these new studios, and Coop is just enamored by the rain.
Cheers to you, Chris.
Cheers to you, Chris. Appreciate you. Coming up, we got 2024 team needs. I'm going to go over the entire roster here, and I'm going to let you know which positions the Commanders are going to be targeting in free agency and in the NFL draft this offseason to make this team better in Dan Quinn's first season as the head coach.
We're going to talk about Cam Curl in the next segment.
Absolutely. We'll talk about Cam Curl next segment. We're going to talk some Kendall Fuller. We'll talk some Sam Howell in the next segment as well. So here's your final warning, guys. Any super chat, you get a shout out on the show. And every dollar that you spend today is one raffle ticket to win the raffle today. We're going to be doing a raffle in about 30 minutes or so. And we're going to be giving away an I Survived the Dan Snyder Era t-shirt right here on the Commanders Report to one lucky winner. $10 super chats. Not only do you get 10 raffle tickets, but we'll take shots. And then we still haven't gotten a 20. All right, we still haven't gotten a 20, and we've got these tortillas here. And it was Coop's birthday a couple days ago, but he's a Cowboys fan. So if you want us to give producer Coop a nice birthday slap, send in a $20 super chat. Please, all right, please. Who's going to be the legend that sends in that $20 super chat? Come on.
You don't have to do that.
Coop says you don't have to do it, which means you got to do it, all right? He doesn't want to get slapped. I want to slap him. Help make it happen, all right? Please. Okay, let's get into this final segment here. Team needs for the Washington Commanders coming up in 2024. The NFL offseason is in full swing for the Washington Commanders, and today I'm going to be breaking down pretty much the entire roster here for the Washington Commanders and what positions are going to be needs for this team in 2024. It's going to be a longer video because we've got a lot of needs. So let's get into it. But first, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you are excited for free agency like I am. The Commanders have the most cap space in the National Football League heading into this year's free agency period. And if I know Adam Peters, I know he's about to go on a spending spree. So let's start with one of the obvious ones here, at least to me, which is that you got to go get a quarterback. All right, and this is going to be a quarterback at number 2 overall in the NFL draft. Not a free agent, not a trade for anybody, not Sam Howell. All right, you're going to get either Drake May or Jaden Daniels at number 2, or maybe trade up to number 1 for Caleb Williams if there's a deal to be made. Now, the reason why I say it's not going to be Sam Howell is because he didn't do enough in his rookie season, or in his first year starting, I should say, to really warrant a second year as the starter of this team. Completion percentage was okay at 63%, over 230 yards per game passing, but given how much he was throwing the football, I'm not sure if that's a great figure. 21 touchdowns is pretty nice, but then you get the 21 interceptions, which led the NFL. He was really putting the ball in harm's way. He showed an ability to not be afraid to throw the ball down the field and into tight spaces, but unfortunately for him, it led to a lot of interceptions and a lot of mistakes, which is why the Commanders have the opportunity that they have right now, where they currently have the number 2 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. And plain and simply, guys, when you're in that kind of situation, when you're in a position where you're picking number 2 in a draft with 3 really, really good quarterback prospects, and Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels, you got to take a quarterback, all right? Plain and simply. Getting a young quarterback, a blue-chip type quarterback on a rookie deal really opens up the opportunities for you over the next 5 seasons of contract control with that quarterback. And as much as I like Sam as a potential backup, a good backup in this league with good chemistry with the receivers already on this team, I think they should keep him, all right? I don't think they should trade him unless it's for like a day 2 pick. But the opportunities to draft types of guys like Drake Mays and Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams, they just don't come around very often. And when they're there, especially when you're just starting a rebuild with a new head coach and a new GM who is going to want their quarterback, I just think it makes the most sense to draft the quarterback at number 2 instead of signing a quarterback or trading for one or whatever the case may be, or sticking with Sam. You got to take the quarterback here, and I do think it'll be either Drake May out of North Carolina or Jaden Daniels, the Heisman winner out of LSU. We have a video on the channel breaking down the full scouting reports of both of these guys, the pros, the cons, and the pro comps, and I let you know which one I would rather have the Commanders take. Personally, I trust Adam Peters and Dan Quinn to make the right decision, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Do you trust Washington to take the right quarterback at number 2 overall? Give me a yes or give me a no. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, give me a yes or no to answer today's pinned question. Then we get to the next need here, and this is a huge one because you traded both of your starters away last trade deadline. Chase Young, Montez Sweat were your 2 starting edge rushers. You traded both of them away, which means you have to replenish that position this year. So you need 2 starting edge rushers. So because you need 2 of them, I would expect at least one of those starters to be picked up in free agency. Now, whether that's Josh Allen or Brian Burns or Danielle Hunter or someone else, I don't know, okay? But I know that the Commanders are definitely going to be hunting one of the top names in free agency this year, and they're going to throw a lot of money at that guy to be the number 1 edge rusher of this team moving forward. And they might even go out and get 2 edge rushers in free agency. Now we go into offensive line here where you need center, you need guard, and you need tackle. All right, so you need everything along the offensive line. Charles Leno Jr., he's fine, but he's definitely not high end. Same thing with Andrew Wiley. Both of them had their struggles last year. Offensive guard, I like Sam Cosmi, but good Lord, you need a starting left guard, and then you also need a center. So you need to really beef up that offensive line, and that needs to be really the number one objective of the Washington Commanders this offseason, other than getting the quarterback right. I really do believe you have to get these things right. You have to beef up the trenches, and you have to get the quarterback right. That's how you build teams in the National Football League, and I'd expect these units to look a lot different heading into 2024. Now, coming up here, I got more team needs. Of course, we've got a lot more to go here, so make sure you guys stick around. But first, I want to tell you about our sponsor today at Prize Picks. And football season may be over. I know, I'm sad about it too, but the action on the floor is just heating up in both college and professional basketball. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments at this time of the year. So get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app in the United States, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. With quick withdrawals, easy game to play, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the U.S. So you might be asking yourselves, how does this work? Well, here's how you play. Pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry. And you can even put entries in, guys, on the NFL Combine and the numbers that these guys put up during the workouts. We got the 40 times right here for wide receivers Troy Franklin, Adonai Mitchell, and Xavier Worthy. And I'm going to take the less on Franklin and Mitchell, and I'll take the more on Worthy for their 40 times. You can go do it right now and get your picks in with Prize Picks. And guys, it only takes less than 60 seconds. So it's super quick, it's super fun, and it's super addictive. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. Again, download the app and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with our friends at Prize Picks. Then, of course, another need for the Commanders this offseason is going to be getting another outside corner, because you got Emmanuel Forbes, who you drafted in the first round last year. You know, you're going to give him another shot here in Dan Quinn's system. You have Jartavian Martin here, Quan Martin in the slot. You need to go out and get another outside corner, because I don't think Benjamin St-Juste is going to be the type of guy that can start for you again in 2024. So for me, the big question at this position is, will they re-sign or franchise tag Kendall Fuller, or are they going to address the need in free agency, or are they going to go to the draft, right? So I really do think it's going to start with that crucial crux decision of Kendall Fuller. And honestly, guys, if I'm predicting it right now, I think they're going to let him walk. I think that he's not the best fit in Dan Quinn's super aggressive, man-heavy scheme. And because of that, they're not going to want to pay him the amount of money that he's going to be worth on the open market, given how good he was in the Fangio-style system that Jack Del Rio ran here over the last several seasons. He's a good corner, really good corner. I'm just not sure if he's a great fit, and because of that, I think he's going to be moving on. Then we get to strong safety, and unlike corner here, where I think the Commanders are going to have to get another starter outside of Kendall Fuller, I actually think Cam Curl is going to be back. And of course, that's the big question here, is whether or not they're going to re-sign or franchise tag Cam Curl, or try to address it elsewhere, whether that be free agency or the draft. But like I said, guys, I think Curl is going to get franchise tagged. I think that that's the right move. I think, unlike Fuller, Curl is a perfect fit in this system that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. are going to be bringing in. I think he's going to be playing kind of that Cam Chancellor role, that true box safety, and that's what he does best, man. That's what he's really, really good at. He's a tight end eraser. He's really good in coverage, in my opinion, and overall, he's a super valuable piece to this defense that I don't think you want to see go. Because of that, I think he's going to get franchise tagged. But let me know what you guys think about these two pieces in the secondary. Should the Commanders bring them back? Should they just bring back Kendall Fuller? Give me an F. Should they just bring back Cameron Curl? Give me a C. Or should they bring back both? Type B for me down there in the comments section if you think they should bring back both. Then we get to inside linebacker for the Commanders, and this one's pretty obvious if you ask me, right? You got Jamin Davis, who's fine, but everybody else in the room is becoming a free agent. So you really have to stock up an inside linebacker talent. I would expect probably an inside or a free agent to sign, and I think they're also going to be hunting for young guns in the draft as well. Then we get to wide receiver, and you might be saying, Jack, we got Scary Terry and Jahan Dotson here, and you'd be right about that, but Cliff Kingsbury, the new OC, likes to have 4 wide receiver sets, likes to have a lot of receivers on the field, spread guys out, and right now with Curtis Samuel leaving in free agency, that is definitely up in the question as to who the number 3 and number 4 receivers are going to be for the Washington Commanders. Now, they could absolutely re-sign Curtis Samuel in free agency depending on the price or what his price tag is going to be. But I think that at the end of the day, guys, he's a really good receiver, and he's a guy you can use a lot of different ways. He's really good on jet sweeps. He's really good in the slot. He really showed that last year. He was a bright spot for this Commanders offense last year, working in the slot. And because of that, I think that he's going to be just affordable enough for the Commanders to say, you know what, he's a valuable piece to this offense. Let's bring him back and let's re-sign him. And then the final team need here is that the Commanders need to go out and get a kicker. Joey Sly was just not it last year. Tress Way is still a great punter. He's locked up for the future. But, you need to get a new kicker, whether that be through the draft with a young guy, whether that be undrafted free agent, whether that be free agency with like a Kaimi Fairbairn or something like that. I don't know what the answer is going to be at the kicker position, but I know they need to address it. Now, what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. What is Washington's biggest need this offseason? Is it offensive line? Is it edge rusher? Is it quarterback? Is it something else? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section for what you think is the biggest team need that the Commanders need to address. That'll be it for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button because we're going to be here covering every single move the Commanders make to address all the needs that we talked about today. Every time they sign a player in free agency, every time they trade for somebody, every time they draft somebody during the draft, we're going to have you guys covered with a breaking news video. So if you want extensive coverage of the 2024 offseason for your Washington Commanders, click that subscribe button for me right now. Oh! Guess what, Coop? The slaps coming!
2 of them.
Let's go! Chris Gomer says, after watching Bieniemy's attempt last year with a more pass-aggressive style fall short, do you feel Kingsbury will be the answer Washington needs? Enjoy the tortilla and forever hate the Cowboys. So to answer your question, Chris, you know what? I was probably more excited for Eric Bieniemy at this point in the offseason last year than I am now with Cliff Kingsbury coming in.
No doubt.
Because I think Eric Bieniemy is a Super Bowl champion as an OC, as an offensive play caller, multiple-time Super Bowl champion.
He ended up at UCLA, right?
UCLA, yeah. So Cliff is somebody that does scare me a little bit because it's a very similar style of offense, actually, to Eric Bieniemy's offense. So if you didn't like EB's offense, you're not going to like Cliff's. All right, it's pretty similar. Lots of shotgun, spread formations, all this different stuff. So you're going to see a lot of the same concepts that we ran last year, only with a new face and a new play caller, right? And then the thing that scares me about Cliff is that he's never been somebody that's been good at adjustments, whether that be mid-game or even mid-season. I mean, you look at his record as a head coach in the second half of seasons, Coop.
Awful.
It's straight up dog crap. It's terrible because he would start out the season great, and he'd bring in new, exciting concepts that nobody had seen before and was totally working. And then defenses would find a counter to that by midseason, and he would have nothing. He would have no counters whatsoever midseason, and things would just go downhill from there. So that's what I'm a little bit worried with Cliff. But he's never been in a true offensive coordinator role, at least not in a very long time. So I'm hoping that with just being the focused play caller now, he can make a couple more of those adjustments. So, well, I guess we'll see. But thank you so much for the slap. And we've got another slap for the Cowboy birthday boy. Eric sent in a pair. Let's go.
I need to get the wheel sorted out real quick, and then we'll do those.
Okay, so we're going to be doing a raffle here pretty soon. So if you've super chatted, make sure you stick around. And if you want to see the Cowboys fan get slapped, don't touch that dial. Because it's coming. We coming. Pause. Whoa. Shout out to Eric and Chris. I got the tortilla locked and ready to go. You talk, Coop. You talk, Coop. We're ready to get things going. I see Daniel down here. I see Dave. I see Soldier for God. I see Uptown Dre. I see Donald. I see Verdell. I see Raven Donhead. I see JG. Coop's figuring out the raffle wheel right now for Eric and Chris, and I'm getting ready to slap him in the face with a tortilla. Did you screw up? Cowboys fan screws up. Tell me if you've heard that one before.
Yeah, we have 5 Super Bowls.
The Cowboys screw up. Absolutely.
We have 5 Super Bowls. You guys have how many? Not 5.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Am I right or wrong?
You are correct. But last time I checked, Tom Landry and Jimmy Johnson are no longer coaching the Cowboys.
Who the hell was coaching the Commanders when they won the Super Bowl? No one even knows.
Joe Gibbs, one of the greatest head coaches of all time.
Joe Gibbs is a better race car owner than he's a freaking
not.
head coach.
Somebody send in another slap. This guy just said Joe Gibbs is not a great NFL coach. Are you kidding me?
You get the next slap.
No, I do not.
Yeah, you do.
This is the Commanders report. Cowboys fans get slapped on the Commanders report.
I'm literally slapping you next.
No, you are
not.
not.
For the next 20. I am.
No, you're not.
I literally am.
You literally are not.
I am. I don't know what to tell you.
This guy, man, I tell you. Got to deal with all these Cowboys fans when you live in Dallas, Texas, man. I don't know
what, man.
I don't know what to say. I have to deal with these cowgirls all day long.
Tell you what, man. Jay Gruden was a better coach than Joe Gibbs.
So I put in our live poll today was, do you trust Dan Quinn and Adam Peters? 90% of the people that answered said yes. So
they said yes?
They said yes they trust Dan Quinn and Adam Peters. Now, they haven't done anything to lose that trust.
Of course.
But they also haven't done anything to necessarily earn it yet either. Now, I will say the things that I've heard them say and in their press conferences and all that different stuff, it sounds good. So I feel good about where the organization. Yeah, Demarius Young. You tell him, Demarius. Joe Gibbs won 3 freaking Super Bowls.
Not in my lifetime.
Well, how many of those Cowboys Super Bowls were won in my lifetime?
In your lifetime?
Yeah.
0.
All right, so now we're going somewhere. We're going to talk about Super Bowls that haven't been won in our lifetimes. Let's talk about the Cowboys. Goodness gracious. Oh, Coop, look at how beautiful that is right there, man. Look Oh! Chris Gomer comes in with another 20. And it's 3 tortilla slaps for Coop.
I'm giving you one of them.
No, you're not.
I am.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
He literally says in this, be quiet, Dallas choker fan. I'm slapping you with this 20.
And I'm going to slap you too.
No, you're not. Chris Comer says Joe Gibbs will remain one of the best coaches of all time as he still holds NFL records, including being the only coach to ever win 3 Super Bowls with different starting QBs. Be quiet, Dallas choker fan. You've got my back, Chris. That's why I love you, man. Let's go.
With 3 starting QBs. I can't even think of a coach that's done it with 2. I'm serious. Belichick did it with 1.
Yeah, Belichick did it with 1 QB.
Andy Reid's done it with 1.
Yeah. Trying to think. A multiple time.
Who was the coach of Tampa? It was
Bruce.
Yeah.
He only won 1.
He only won 1. Coughlin, 2 with 1.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
How many coaches have won Super Bowls
with multiple starters?
With multiple starters.
That's actually very impressive.
And by the way, that's also something that when people talk about Bill Belichick and how he quote unquote needed Tom Brady, it's like, well, pretty much every other coach that has won a Super Bowl has needed that quarterback because he's the only guy he's done it with.
Yes.
So it's like Joe Gibbs. Thank you, Chris, for bringing this up because Joe Gibbs is unique in this way that he was able to cultivate that winning culture with different quarterbacks during that era of winning Washington football.
That's actually a great stat that I didn't know.
Perfect.
I like that, Chris.
Coop admits that he was wrong.
I don't admit that.
Commanders on top. F the Cowboys.
Look at the wheel.
Look at that wheel, man. That thing is a thing of beauty.
By the way, we are $10 away from $100 on today's stream. We're taking shots if we get there.
If we get to okay, so we're $10 away from 100. If we get to $100, Coop and I are taking shots.
Let's go.
All right, so if somebody gets us to 100, we're $8 away. So if someone sends in a 10, we're taking shots.
All right, this is for the Dan Snyder t-shirt.
All right, who's going to win the t-shirt? Let's
Spin
see.
that wheel, Mr. Gorbachev.
Spin it.
Here we go.
Who's got it?
It's going to be Chris.
Give it to Chris. Is it? Oh,
I
Chris
knew
is there. Is it Chris?
Chris!
It's Chris wins the t-shirt. Let's go.
Chris. Be sure to DM Jack on Twitter.
Check me out on Twitter, Chris. I'm at Jack_Sperry. Give me a DM, and we'll be in touch. Send me your shipping address, and I'll get you that
We'll
t-shirt.
get you the shirt.
Send me your size, too, by the way. Send me what size t-shirt you want, and we'll get it to you. Now, Coop, get over here. It's time to get slapped.
I hope you know I'm slapping you, too.
No, you're not.
I literally am.
Oh, my God. Oh! Verdell Buffington with a $10 super chat.
He gets us to 100.
Time for shots, baby.
Let's go, Verdell. Hang on.
I got mine
One
ready.
moment.
I got mine ready. Let's go, Verdell. My man.
Come on.
My man. Cheers to everybody. Cheers to Verdell. Cheers to Chris. And cheers to Joe. Woo! Cheers to Joe fucking Gibbs, man. Let's go. All right, get over here, Coop. Time to get slapped.
I will, but Cassie says the dog I'm with right now pauses to hear when you yell.
Oh, that's funny.
That's good
Am
stuff
I on the
right there.
TV right now, babe?
You're on the TV?
I think she might be streaming me up on the TV.
Cassie,
right
do you have Jack on the TV right now?
All right, stop stalling. Get over here, Coop. Get over here so we can end the show. People want to see some slaps. Are you going to be here talking Commanders football? All right. All right. Time to slap. No.
Yeah.
I'm okay. How about this? I'll slap you 3 times. You slap me once. Deal?
No.
Yes. All right. Here we go. Shout out to Chris, to Eric, and to Verdell. 1.
That was a wind up, bro.
I smacked the shit out of him. All right. 1 more, and then you get to slap me. All right? F the Cowboys. All right. No hand.
No hand.
Oh my God, man. That's nuts. All right, that's going to be it for this week's show. You guys are awesome.
Shout out to y'all.
Thank you to everybody that's tuned in today. We'll see you guys next week for next week's Commanders Report live show. So for me and producer Coop,
Have a blessed evening.
have a great night. And until next time,